I want to show you that trading ICC is not hard, especially when you want to catch the bigger moves. You got to go to a higher time frame. And the whole purpose of ICC is to catch the beginning of a trend so that you can stay in for long term. And if you want to catch the beginning of a trend, you need to be looking at the higher time frames because a lower time frame structure is always fluctuating. The higher time frame is king. So if you want more pips, you want more profits, this is what I do. Especially when it comes to ICC, the impulse, the correction, and the continuation. I'm going to map out my high time frame support and resistance, and this is based off of daily. I've had a resistance here that was broken and it made a high, and so this is my most recent high, or I can say my high of highs. And then the resistance was broken through here, which doesn't really mean anything, okay? Because the confirmation of a trend, you need both highs and lows to confirm a trend exists. You can't just see a high and then think, oh, snap, we're in an uptrend. You need a higher low to confirm that uptrend. Oops. So anyway, you have a high right here, and then you can see that a lower high was created right here. This was the lower high right here. Then it goes up and it actually makes a higher low right here. And so it never came back and broke through this high, but instead it created a higher low. So what can you anticipate is going to come after a higher low? A lower low. Okay, which is what's happening right now. And so what happens after a lower low? A lower high is formed, and then it continues going down. So if you want to get some short-term moves, all you have to do is find more structure and trade that. But from a higher time frame perspective, you know that it's not just going to keep going down forever. It's going to anticipate creating a new lower high. Does that make sense? So a higher low and a lower low is being formed right now. So then we need to anticipate the next high, which is going to be lower somewhere. We don't necessarily know where it's going to be, but we need to anticipate it. And then once that forms, then we can go for the next lower high after that, wherever that may be. And so NASDAQ has been on this huge uptrend for a very, very long time, but we have two things that have been formed, so we can assume that the trend has changed, even if it might change for a short amount of time because we're on a higher time frame. And the government might recover really, really well. We can still start to see price. Let's say it doesn't create that lower low, then we can start seeing where we can start buying, okay? Because the whole purposes of this is to catch the beginning of a trend. Once you catch the beginning of a trend, you can hold it for longer term. So this is what I'm seeing on a lower time frame. This is what I'm anticipating to happen on a lower time frame. Now, price can find support and decide to buy up. I don't know yet, but I'm only going to trade what I see and not assume. So if you want to find like small little moves in between here, all you have to do is look at structure. So you can see that a low was created here. And then after that low was created, another low was created here. And it has continued up until this point. Now it's starting to trade upwards. So we're anticipating that price is actually going to go ahead and surpass this high at a certain point. So I can look for this to be taken out. And then I'm going to start trading higher, because remember, overall price is going to go make that higher time frame structure. So not every single day, especially on a pair like NASDAQ, is it going to just keep falling. It doesn't have perfect market structure all the time, which means it doesn't always come back to support and resistance and like move above it and then fall. And then you see this is another support. It doesn't always come back above support and then fall. It doesn't always do that. And you'll see that as you trade stuff like NASDAQ, US30, SPX. What it does is more like it'll find that support area and then just decide to fall and then not come all the way up. It might just come like right here and then fall some more. Like that's more of the structure that pairs like the NASDAQ US30. That's what they do. So study the pair and don't trip out when you see price moving and creating that structure. Just look at the higher time frame. So the daily is really good to look at. So for example, for EU, and I'll show you guys what I'm looking at for EU. It already kind of made a move, but on a higher time frame on the daily, you can see that there was a high and it has then created a lower high since then. So what am I anticipating? I'm anticipating for price to push down past this low right here. And so the trend has already totally shifted on a higher time frame. Where am I? Okay. Yeah, so you can see that it's already been breaking its own supports as it's created. It's broken this most recent higher time frame support right here, and it's given us a small little indication, but you could have seen this way up here. Okay, so price made a high, came down, made a lower high. Right here is when you can see that stuff started to break. Yeah, it came up here, grabbed some liquidity, and then continued to go down. That could have been your confirmation right there. Here's some more structure. Made support, came down, broke it, came back, made it a resistance. Okay, and then it continued to trade down. And then today, it decided to really push down this big, huge candle. And so you can just anticipate that price is going to keep doing that because the overall trend is a downtrend. We've been on a downtrend forever. So the only way this is going to flip to an uptrend is when price crosses above here and then starts to trade up like that. And that hasn't happened yet, so you could just keep shorting EU. So I hope that makes sense. ICC is not hard. Price action is not hard. Just look at it from a higher time frame perspective. And yeah, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.